Thursday. Usually it's a Wednesday and we're on Instagram, but it's a Thursday and we are on Instagram Live. How's everybody doing tonight? Well, it is tonight. It's the evening. So, hello, 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 hello. Hope everybody is doing great, having a great Thursday evening. We have a great topic and discussion tonight. Hopefully, folks will enjoy it and they will chime in, be a little interactive, ask questions. I have an amazing guest tonight. I can't wait for him to join. Let me see if I can grab him. Let's see. How's everybody's Thursday going tonight? If you're watching, let me know where you are watching from. Say hello to me in the comment section. I want to know where you're watching from tonight. And what are you doing on a Thursday? Shouldn't you be out in the streets? Well, you might be out in the street. You got your phone. Hey, JK, hello, hello. Armando, you can make sure you update your app, and then also you can send the request. That way, I'll bring you on. Okay, we got Seattle in the house, Atlanta, Brooklyn, Durham, North Carolina. Hello, hello. Where else? Nashville. Daniel, you are always somewhere, but welcome back to Atlanta. I'm sure you were on Delta. In Chicago, super cold. Hey, Torian, how's DC? Kentucky, San Diego. Okay, y'all are Detroit. People are on Brooklyn. Okay, New York. People are all over the place. I love it. Somebody said they can't go live. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. Armando, hello, hello, hello.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing awesome. How you doing okay tonight?
It's cold in Chicago, but so far, yes.
Lord, today, no, no. I like it in Atlanta where it sometimes it may get as low as maybe 30, maybe 30, maybe 20 on a really bad winter, but I'm sure it's like 2 degrees up there in Chicago.
Well, for me, I always hate that they say it's 21, but with the wind chill, it feels like -4. Then just tell me it's -4. For me, it's
Right, right. I know you're wearing your I the plugs.
should
Sometimes
I take them off?
yeah, sometimes there's a delay and it's like an echo whenever you use those. Um so if you take them off, the audio will sound much, much, much better. Oh,
Perfect, all done.
oh, much better. Yes, yes. So listen, you all, we are having a conversation about dating and HIV. Many of you may know that tomorrow, or you may not know, tomorrow is World AIDS Day. So it's an opportunity just to really reflect on the impact that HIV has had on the lives of many people. And it's really a good time to reflect on the resiliency of people who are living with HIV and how they have been able to continue to thrive and look at like all the many advances that people have had in HIV. And you're like, well, Lamont, why are you having the conversation about HIV? You're a dating coach. Well, I work with gay men. I work with people in the LGBTQ plus community, and HIV really heavily impacts the lives of gay, bisexual, same gender loving people, transgender people, people of color. Like it comes up when it's a topic of conversation when you're dating. So I wanted to have the conversation. And Armando reached out to me and was like, hey, Lamont, let's have this conversation. So I'll let Armando introduce himself so he can talk to you a little bit about who he is, his background, and then we will hop into the discussion. Okay.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me and for accepting the invitation to talk about this topic. My name is Armando. I was born in Mexico, but I've been most of my life here in Chicago. And in 2003, I was diagnosed with HIV. I'm 43 now, so it's been 20 years. And for almost 10 years or so, I've been advocating for, HIV stigma, what it is to live with HIV. I did it initially alone, then I did it with my ex-husband. I'm back to the single life, and I'm doing it alone again.
Yeah.
But for me, it's always advocating and always like try to tell people what it is to just learn about the HIV virus, and also how you can help be an ally if you don't have it.
Mhm.
One of the reasons that I reached out to you is because you posted a few days about a person that was talking about his regimen, and it's important of how you take your medicine if you are HIV positive or undetectable, or if you want to say undetectable. So of course I chime in,
Yeah.
I put
Yeah.
my comment, and within the comments there were, I made, it were positive comments and negative comments. But one of the things that I took more like, not shocking because it has happened to me, but I just briefly I'm going to read that one person said, "Are you still here trying to date? Do you still Are you still here trying to hook up? Are you trying to convince someone to accept you or date you?"
Mm.
And I found that particularly interesting
Yeah.
because pretty much how I took that was like, so what you're saying is that because I have HIV, I'm not allowed to date,
Right.
and because I have HIV, I'm not allowed to hook up.
Hmm. Hmm.
So those are the things that I felt are still important to talk about, and to almost, because I comment like two or three times within that comment.
Hmm.
After I realized that I was not going to go anywhere, it for me it was just more of understanding that people still feel that it's also just a gay virus,
Yes.
and that's also another thing that we have to think more than that, because the statistics I can't even pronounce the word, statistics.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
as far as that, like so far in the US is 1.2 million people approximately that are living with HIV as of now. Now from 13% of those people that have it don't know that they have it.
Hmm.
So even till the day that you're able to do so many things, people are still not aware of their own status. And then from 2017 to 2021, it did decline the infections of HIV, but there's still that continued conversation of people that are uncomfortable with the topic.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like even 2021 there were over 36,000 cases, new cases.
Hmm.
And those people, I wonder if they knew, I wonder if they were informed or what happened. So that's why I wanted to bring it up to your attention, because of your platform and how other people can learn from this. And I'm like, well, why not? Like, let's talk about it.
Right. Let's have the conversation. And I really appreciate you, one, for reaching out, two, for just being so bold and knowledgeable on the subject. And for some of you all who may just be joining or who might not know, as Armando said, a couple days ago, I made a post. Uh, I reshared a post of Craig, who a lot of you all might really know. And to me, I felt like it was an inspirational quote. I mean, post, because he was encouraging people who are living with HIV to take their medication. One of the things that I have noticed is that I have a lot of friends who are living with HIV. I've worked in the HIV prevention and treatment care field for a long time. One of the things I noticed is that it's really not HIV that kills people. It is the stigma, it is the shame of living with HIV that kills people, which makes them not want to take their medication, because it's a daily reminder that they're living with HIV, which makes them not want to go to the doctor's office because it's a reminder that they're living with HIV, or they have to sit in a HIV clinic or an HIV specialty place. There's so much stigma there. And for me, I found it shocking. I really found it shocking in 2023 that there were so many negative comments, like so many negative comments in there where people were like, well, you deserved it. Like, or they missed the point of the video where they're like, oh, he's being sacrilegious, or of course he had HIV because he was in the adult entertainment industry. The comments were just so like shocking that I wanted to delete some of them. I wanted to curse some of the people out, but I let them stay there so that people can have a dialogue. So that, like Armando, you were responding to people while that was going on. Tell me about your
And
experience, like responding to some of those comments a little bit more.
I mean, I did engage with some directly on this post. Some people did DM me
Mhm,
saying like, "No wonder you have it." Some people were saying I went and I checked your Instagram, and of course, like you're sexualizing everything. I see
mhm,
your ass out. So it was almost like, so what you're saying is that just because I'm sexualizing it, so somehow I deserve it. And even I think within the same comment, somebody posts like she went from very uneducated comment to them saying almost like this is a gay problem, you know, and
mhm,
going even based on the statistics and the just heterosexual people, like 22% that had it or recently were diagnosed were heterosexual people.
mhm,
And I think the stigma or what we think about HIV is because of the first images we got in 1980s. You know,
mhm,
it was the person that looked unhealthy, the person that didn't look well, you know, and I feel that part of the stigma is because of that image that we have where you almost have to look sick and or you think. I'll say something that is very common nowadays with apps. When you go to apps, sometimes you use vocabulary that you might think is not offensive, or
mhm,
you might think it's okay to do. Because I've gotten that question where they're like, "Are you clean?" And what does
mhm,
that say? That
mhm,
if I
mhm,
have HIV, then I'm dirty,
mhm,
you know?
mhm.
And
Right,
so
right, right.
we ask ourselves, like, you might say it very casual, like, "Are
Mhm,
you clean?"
mhm.
And sometimes I'm sarcastic with the reply.
Like,
I'm
yeah,
like,
I
"Yeah,
took
I
a bath,
just
like you
showered."
took a bath, right?
And I say, I'm like, "Yeah, I just showered. You know, I just cleaned up. I'm ready."
Mhm,
But
mhm,
I say that only to get a reaction for them to say, like,
mhm,
"No, do
mhm,
you have
mhm,
HIV?" And I have it in my profiles all the time, but
mhm,
I feel that's one of the things that it's
mhm,
the vocabulary that we use
mhm,
that it's very normal,
yeah,
but we still use it, you know.
mhm,
It's also the disclosure of, for example,
mhm,
us as a person living with HIV,
mhm,
we also tend to say I'm undetectable instead of saying I have HIV. Why? Because when you say undetectable, it feels less of a threat. I am not a threat to give you
mhm,
HIV.
mhm,
So that's why we normally or tend to use undetectable
mhm,
instead of saying I'm HIV positive.
mhm.
Why? To shift that mentality of people of the negative stigma, you know, when it's related to the
Sure.
virus.
Yeah, and someone, thank you, someone in the comment section, they said that they used to use that lingo until they actually understood that it might be offensive to people living with HIV. And so even if you've noticed in my language, I don't call people, I don't say, hey, you're positive or you're negative. I can say, hey, you might be living with HIV. Like, because it's like living with any other type of health condition right now. Because if you take the medication, it's literally just living with like another health condition. Yeah.
And I also, you know, sometimes you have to take something so negative in your life that
Mhm,
sometimes you could even play with humor when it
mhm,
comes to that. That's why within the same comment I
mhm.
put like something along the lines of like, and I got a bubble butt and I still bring all the boys to this yard. Why? To play with what it is, you know, to still be
Yeah.
sexually active and sexually positive, you know, when it comes to that. But it's just I also feel like it has to do also with the morality or what people think of what your morals are or
Mhm.
where you are or stand with that.
Right. So I know we have a whole bunch of stuff we want to talk about, and it looks like there are some people who want to come on and ask questions. Are you okay with us
Yes, of
bringing the
course.
people? Okay. I think I see Jacoby and one other person who may want to come on, share their experience, or ask questions, or add to the topic. So if you do want tonight to come on, or you have questions, you can use the question function. I see you all are talking a whole bunch in the live chat. which we love. But let me see who wants to join. I will go to Jacoby and then to Dr. Michelle afterwards. Um, let's see if you click the request button. I'm not sending requests to people. You click the request button, then I will accept it.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Jacoby, how you doing?
Hey, hey. No, I just wanted to say I'm sorry that you went through that. I think it's terrible. I think that in 2023, you would believe that more people are educated on the topic.
Mhm.
I do sex work as well,
Mhm.
so that question, wherever I'm at, that question has always been brought up to me.
Mhm.
Oh, you must have it, or oh, like,
Mhm.
what are you doing to stay safe? And it's just like, it's 2023. There's medications to stay safe.
Mhm.
There's undetectable. I have messed with people that were, HIV positive,
Mhm.
but I know how to protect myself.
Mhm.
And I just think it's sad that people don't know about PrEP. People don't know about Doxy PrEP. I take that as well.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure you guys are familiar with Doxy PrEP, right?
Yes.
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 Yeah, I take that as well because I do sex work and sometimes it's raw and sometimes it's protected,
Mhm.
and I just think it's just sad. So I just wanted to come on and just like, apologize for those comments. I get those comments every day
Mhm.
and I just think that it's just sad. But I will say a positive thing is that we do come on and we talk about it. Because
Mhm.
I've definitely educated people on PrEP.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't know about Doxy PrEP because it's new.
Right.
So I have people like, oh, aren't you scared you're gonna catch, this and this and this and this? And I'm just like, no. And they're like, why are you not worried about it? It's like, I know how to take care of myself. And then I question them like, why don't you know how to take care of yourself?
Mhm.
So, I think that that's important that we have that dialogue.
And
So
I
I
also
hate
feel
I hate
like,
how it has to come about though. It's never positive when it comes up. It's always in a negative light. So
and and
yeah.
kind of like piggybacking with what you're saying, and I'm gonna make a very drastic comparison, but when you hear about cancer, everybody all focuses on how that person is doing, how that person is
Yes.
feeling.
Yeah.
When you have someone that talks about HIV, one of the first questions that you get asked, how did you get it?
Yeah.
They're
Yes.
not asking you, how are you doing? How are you feeling right now? Because when you get recently diagnosed, you go from feeling shame, fear of disclosure. You
Yeah.
feel isolated. You feel angry.
Mhm.
There are so many
Yeah.
emotions that you're going through when you recently are diagnosed. Right? I mean, I've been again with this 20 years.
Mhm.
I have a hard like for me it's very very difficult for me to someone to affect me.
Mhm.
Right.
Even
Right.
even
Right.
with my ex-husband, playing with humor, when we would argue and he's like, oh my god, you're so negative, I'm like, no, I'm positive, remember? But I
Right.
would use that as a joke to
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
like, but those are the things that I feel you might affect someone that's recently diagnosed because you don't know where they are mentally, emotionally,
Yeah.
and your
Yeah.
words are sometimes more powerful than a weapon. And I feel like be careful, learn about it, educate yourself on it, and then
Mhm.
chime in and give your opinion. I'm
Right.
not gonna
Yeah.
care if it's a negative
Yeah.
opinion, but
Right.
I've definitely been a teacher to a lot of
Mhm.
people, about, you know, what's going on. And, I've definitely had, even in some of my movies, I will literally have people tell me, hey, you film with somebody that I know is positive. And I'm like, I know. Like, you know what I mean?
Like
We
I'm
test
aware of it.
like
Yeah.
we test before.
Yeah.
I know the situation,
Mhm.
and I mean I will say the medications for prevention do work.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for a while, so it works.
Well, Jacoby,
And
you mentioned, and we were going to talk about this, but since you're here, we'll allow you to talk about it. You mentioned doxyprep, and sometimes
yes.
we use like terminology when you're very familiar with that goes over the head of
Right.
people.
Okay.
So, do you want to explain what doxyprep is, how it works, who it's for, what the
Yeah.
benefits? Like, walk us through it, like why you've chosen to use it, possibly.
No problem. So Doxy Prep is basically diclofenac. That's the medication name.
Mhm.
It's used for a lot. It's an antibiotic. It's used for a lot of different things. It's used for skin conditions. It's used for STDs to clear up like gonorrhea and chlamydia
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So originally they were just using it to clear up those things, infections, not just STIs, but all kinds of things. But now they're giving it to people who do not have any STDs
Right.
as prevention. So let's say I'm getting ready for a scene, right?
Mhm.
And even though we've done testing and even though we've done everything, let's say I want to be extra careful. So I take it daily. I take a pill daily, usually it takes about 7 days to build up in your system,
Mhm.
but it literally prevents me from catching chlamydia, gonorrhea,
Mhm.
not syphilis though, not syphilis. But it's like with
Well,
that and prep.
with
What do you say?
syphilis, it does help. So
Okay, yeah, I know
specifically,
it does help,
yeah.
but I'm
Just a
So
not sure
little
it's like
bit
a hundred
pregnant.
percent.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
so
yes.
Yeah.
gonorrhea itself, it's approximately like 55% that it protects you.
Yeah,
Then with syphilis and chlamydia, it could be from 80% or more.
right, right,
And
right.
then
Okay.
you do have that window of 72 hours if you had sex bareback, pretty much.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I was gonna say that too. So like also, usually I do it before a shoot, but there have been times where I've done it like continue to do it afterwards.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna lie, like I'll be honest, like when I was younger, I'm 35 now. When I was younger, like 18, 19, I caught stuff easily, and I was like not doing a lot, you know.
Mhm.
Now I'm doing more, and I just know the medication works just because,
Mhm.
like I said, one, most of the time my models were tested and everything like that, but still as a precaution, because you never know, they can get tested and go do something the next day. I don't trust people,
Yeah.
so you
Yeah.
know what I mean. And so I just have to, you have to trust in yourself, and I tell people that all the time. You shouldn't be worried about other people's health. You should be worried about your health.
Yeah.
So if you know you're a sexually active person and you know you like to do it with no condom,
Mhm.
like let's be real,
Mhm.
most people do. They don't like to admit it,
Yeah.
but most people do. It's like if you like to do that, just go get tested, go get
Mhm.
your prep, go get your doxy prep now that they're offering it. And I mean, like I said, for me personally, it has worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I have not had an incident, and I'm not gonna lie, I do a lot of films,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I have not had an
Yeah.
incident.
Is it?
That's been for the last 2 years.
Is it? Tell people about the price. Is it expensive? How easy is it to take?
Okay, it's easy to take. You usually take it with food because it can give you like a little stomach ache.
Mhm.
Um, I got mine for free,
Okay.
so I don't know if I'll be the best person to like. I get my.
There are places to
I'm a
get it for
yeah,
free. Yeah. There are
yeah.
places
I'm
to
an
get it for
army vet, but
free.
like Atlanta has a lot of like
Mhm.
free
Mhm.
clinics that you can go to.
Yeah.
I know that they're offering it specifically for men who have sex with men.
Mhm.
At what is that clinic called? I don't want to
There's
space.
probably the one that's the Prism Clinic in Decatur. They have one, but
Yes, that one. Right. What is that
yeah,
called?
it's Prism. I don't know, but like you can Google
Okay.
like prep free or doxy, and
Yeah.
you can find
And
somewhere close in your city. Yeah.
So that's why I
to
learned
be
about it in that one indicator. But then the VA was like, "Oh, we can give you that.
Yeah.
You don't have to go
Yeah.
there." So,
And
but
also
yeah, I
just
did
to
get mine
like
for free.
make a clarification as far as like maybe in Atlanta it works this way, but for example, I don't know if it's depending on each state that
Mm,
it's different.
mm,
Here in
Yeah.
Chicago, they don't give it to you just to give it to you.
mm.
You technically have to have an STI first.
Yep.
So you
Right.
have to be exposed,
Mm.
and then if you had it within approximately 6 months, give or take, then you are eligible to receive it. So
Mm.
you cannot get it as a preventative method. You
Wow.
Yeah.
have to wait technically until you get it. That's one of
Jeez.
the things here in Chicago.
Mm,
So is it covered by insurance? It is covered by certain insurance
mm.
depending on the insurance, but I also feel it also depends on what state that you're on.
We have a lot of grants and stuff in
Mm.
Atlanta, and a lot of clinics that just are ready to do that. Like it was so crazy. Like I literally was just like, "Hey, I do this kind of work.
Mm.
I need this," and the
You can
doctor there was
push
like, "Oh
people.
yeah."
You can push the doctors and be like, listen, this is what I
Yeah,
want.
like, and I was
Right.
like, okay, cool. And it was just like,
Yeah.
okay, amazing. And then I started getting it from the VA
Mm.
because I didn't want to use my insurance anymore.
Mhm.
But yes,
Yeah.
some places will offer it free or at a very, very low cost. But here, I know, like you're right. In
Mm.
certain states will just offer it to you if you just say, like, I
Yeah.
have a high risk sex
Yeah.
life.
Here in Chicago, it's recently that is being promoted by certain organizations, and again, it's after you have been exposed. And they also have there's two options whether you take two pills, which is 10 milligrams, or one tablet that is 200
Mhm.
milligrams.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So they have that option as well, and as you know, it's for the 72-hour exposure after you have sex, and depending on how much sex you have, because if you're a person that daily has it, well,
Mm.
you
Yeah.
daily will take it, but
Yeah.
it's also your way of your sexually active life, pretty
Yeah.
much in a
Yeah.
nutshell.
And this disclaimer, we're not doctors.
No,
Right.
we're not.
We're not doctors. We just saying what we know off experience. I just want to be clear. But that's just my experience with it. And it's just been such an
Yeah.
amazing drug. I mean, I'm not gonna say I have I'm doing things carefree now, but I'm not worried about it. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah.
I'm not worried
Yeah.
about either, any of
Yeah.
them. And so, like I said, I just wanted to come on here, apologize to you. I hate that. I hate when I see that in 2023.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just like, are we serious right
Yeah.
now? We're still like demonizing it when we know
Mhm. Mhm.
people have gotten it their very first time
Mhm.
having sex.
Mhm.
People have gotten it from, somebody they trusted.
Mhm.
You know, people have gotten it because the person before them didn't know that they had it.
Mhm.
It's so many different, and then it's just always stigmatized that you must have did this with a lot of people when
It,
that's not
yeah.
always the
Yeah.
case.
No.
And I think that that's something to note. Like your first boyfriend,
Mhm.
a lot of people get it from their first
Yeah.
boyfriend, their first,
Yeah.
and that's just something to just to remember. Just
Mhm.
like, and so when I see those things and I see like, oh, you must have did this, or you're super sexual, I'm just like, wow, like,
No.
like it's
That's
too much
it's
information out here for
it's
you to be like that ignorant
right.
at this
Right.
point in time.
Right.
Like
And
it's way too much information. It's a Google search away.
yeah.
I had to tell somebody what undetectable meant the other day, and I was just like mind blown. Like, you don't know
Yeah.
what that means, like, and I explained it to him, but I'm just like, you're in this community, you're of age,
Mm. Mm.
and you don't know what undetectable means
Mhm.
because
And and
Well,
yeah,
and another thing to kind of like go with people living with
mm.
HIV, and
Mm.
I always say that, and I had to learn this too. There are people that are gonna make you feel like they're doing you a favor by
yes,
sleeping with
yes,
you, and to me,
yes,
it's like no. Like I also have a choice. I also know what I'm looking for, whether it's for a hookup or a relationship. So I am not your second choice. I
no,
Mm.
am your first choice,
Mm.
and
Mm.
if you are not okay with it, you do have that choice to move on to a next person.
yeah.
But it's better option because I know that I don't want to be with someone that would actually think like you.
Mhm.
You made me have a flashback. I had a friend who his boyfriend, they were getting into it, and he was just like, "Well, you should be lucky I'm with you anyway because of your situation." And I was just like, "Dude,
Mm.
like, like I told my
Wrong.
friend,
Wrong
I
response.
was like, dude, I promise you,
Mhm.
even with that, you can find somebody so
Mhm.
much better than that.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah.
is like a lot of people, because a lot of people are educated on it,
Mhm. Mhm.
and like a lot of my friends are that
Mm.
are not,
Yeah.
positive, but they have partners that are.
Yeah.
So it's like and I sympathize with you. I understand. I've seen that
Mm.
firsthand happen, and it's insane.
Yeah.
It's
And
insane.
and
That's how
I
the
always see
original
like
post was. The original post was that I shared of Craig's, and I said um, dating people living with HIV has become more normalized, right? Or more
Right.
accepting because
Right.
10, 20 years ago, it was not. Like a lot of
Right.
people who were living with HIV were shamed, stigmatized. Like people would wash, they would eat after them, use the restroom, all those types of things. But I think because there's more awareness, there are more images of people living longer, that we have more
Mhm.
conversations about this one on one. I think it's becoming a little bit more acceptable among the gay
Yeah.
community. Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, it should be like,
Yeah.
what I mean, at this point,
Mhm.
like it's so preventable now. It shouldn't. I don't even feel like the conversation should be like, hey, I'm positive, I'm undetectable.
Mhm.
Other person can say I'm negative, I'm gonna be on prep
Mhm.
or whatever they're gonna do, and then that should just be the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but again,
Yeah.
that's why it's important. Like I feel it like sometimes we might need a little bit of ignorance, because I even feel like now if I see people in the comments saying, "Oh, doxy prep, never heard of it," you know what I mean? So I think that that's important
Mhm.
that we're still putting out that
Yeah.
information.
Yeah.
So
and also like people at the end of the day, like you choose what's right for you, even when
right,
it comes to prep, even
Mhm.
when it comes to doxy pep.
Mhm.
Like at the end of the day, whatever works for you,
Mhm.
it's your decision, your body, and how you want to protect your body.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're not doctors, but it's we're just giving information so people can be informed and make the best choice for themselves.
There is
you,
actually a doctor who wants to come on.
Oh,
So
oh,
I'm
you should let them on. But listen, you sir, you always posting some controversial stuff. that be
oh,
having that be having the people attacking in your comments.
it's a space to
But
have the
I think it's
conversation,
funny.
right?
I agree. But listen,
Yeah.
like I told you, because it's always, would you date a sex worker? Would you date? I mean, I really feel like a topic should be, and this is no shade, but can you date somebody that's unsuccessful?
Hmm.
I really feel like that should be a topic because, you want to be negative on the HIV, you want to be negative on the sex workers, but there's a lot of other worse things out here. I've never seen can you date a drug dealer? I've never seen can you date a scammer? I've never seen can you date somebody who abuses you? Those are never the topics of discussion. It's always sex worker or somebody with HIV. Like that is literally every topic that I
I
see. And
got you.
I
I
mean, I'm
got
not,
you.
I get it.
I got
I
you.
get it. But you want a dating show and you have a ton of people that come up here and I be want to know the real outside of you looking good, what are the other qualifications?
I
Like
agree.
I'm sorry, like I'm not going to date somebody that I don't feel has like a vision of their life or anything like that. I think those people need to be on the chopping block. People who play games need to be on the chopping block. But
But
sex
you know
work and
what?
HIV is.
At
Preaching
the end
over
of the
there.
day, at the end of the day, I say this to people: don't ask what you can give. You're
Exactly.
expecting this. Are you offering that
Mhm.
to me?
Mhm.
So you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I'll just say amen, Jacoby. Amen. And that's see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
It was great talking to you guys. Bye.
Likewise.
Okay, I'm gonna bring up. It looks like Dr. Michelle. Dr. Michelle. I don't know Dr. Michelle, but we're gonna we're gonna see. Let's see. They didn't accept it. Okay, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. But like really, really good conversation. I do feel like there is a lot of stigma still out there, and I just wonder, like, when I say stigma, I mean stigma around dating someone living with HIV, or stigma around um, really uptaking the different preventative measures so that you can stay negative. And I just wonder why um, in 2023, almost going to 2024, that we don't have these conversations. And I'm gonna look in the question box. Someone told me to look in
I
there.
think I think with some people, it also is more of, again, feeling ashamed or even be putting that information in their insurance. Why? Because they feel it's gonna come back to them. I've met youth where they're like, I would want to do this, but my parents may find out because I'm still under their insurance.
Mhm.
And then going with, again, just being on apps, some people are still scared to openly say their status. So instead of saying I'm undetectable, they say I'm on PrEP.
Oh
And that's
yes, yes.
a way for them to kind of protect that
Mhm.
aspect, still be responsible, but
Mhm.
not openly say I am HIV positive.
Mhm.
So that is also interesting how and why they do that, because I always also say this with people on, specifically on apps, where they're like, well, I don't want to be with people like you, and I'm like, well, what makes you think that you haven't been with someone that's HIV? Because someone could lie to you. I'm openly telling you what I have, but you don't know who you've been with if they didn't disclose that.
Exactly. And what I have noticed, from the dating coaching perspective, is people who are in smaller towns typically don't disclose their HIV status because they're going to know each other. People in larger cities are more open to sharing their HIV status on dating apps and online profiles because they're a little bit more removed. So that helps a
But
little bit.
I'll say this much, and that sounds shady, but in Chicago, I know people that work within the health in these type of organizations, that when I see them on certain apps, they still put PrEP, and I know that they're positive. But it's also fascinating. It's like,
Yeah,
all of the
yeah,
information, yet it's a choice.
yeah,
It's a choice. But this is why we're having this
yeah.
conversation.
And I think whenever I see that, I'm like, what can we do as a community that makes it more safe for people to be honest and genuine about who they are up front? So I feel like people are like, oh, it's on the responsibility of the person living with HIV to disclose. Okay, but it's also in the whole community to make it safe because people, I know it's illegal to do it, but people have lost their jobs, their places of employment, they've been shunned from their churches, their communities because they've disclosed they were living with HIV. So what can we do to make it safe for them? So that's the bigger thing. Yeah.
And one of the things that I do tell people that are afraid to open up about their status, when specifically when it comes to dating, or they tend not to hook up often. I say this: not everybody goes in life saying like, "Hi, my name is Armando and I have high cholesterol." You don't go out saying that.
No.
So to me, it's like if you meet somebody, don't immediately say I'm HIV positive. Let them to get to know you as a person, and then if it's gonna get to that intimate aspect, then disclose it, but not off the bat. You have to say, "Well, I have this," because nobody goes around saying, you know, I suffer from insomnia. Like,
Right.
no.
And I will tell you, in some states, people are still being prosecuted for having sex with someone who's living with HIV. So someone who's living with HIV has sex with someone who doesn't know their status or says they're HIV negative, and maybe they have disclosed it to them on their dating profile or somewhere, but they still have said, "Oh, the person didn't tell me," and they've been prosecuted. And when you look at the majority of those cases, it's the majority of people of color who are being charged with those crimes. So it's still occurring. So people are like, why don't people just tell? Because there's so much, there's still consequences to it. Yeah.
And for example, I mean, again, I'm 43, but back in the day, when you would go to Craigslist and kind of like meet people, I would actually save the emails where I would tell them I'm HIV positive, because I'm like, if they ever come back, I have an
If you're
email
free.
that says that happened. Nowadays, I have it on my profile, but I still take screenshots because I'm like, and even being undetectable, I'm like, no, like I'll take every precaution that I can.
Okay. So there was a question that said like about doxy prep. So doxy prep is for STDs, not
Correct.
HIV. And they were wondering if someone could build up a resistance if they take the doxy prep too much.
So far, that has not. There's not enough data that can confirm that, and specifically, this has been more effective with trans women, gay, bi, and men having sex with men. So those have been the studies as of now that it has helped. And why? Because in 2021 there was approximately like 2.1 million STI cases, more than actually HIV cases. And I also feel that this came more into research. Why? Because the mentality also is that, oh, you know, I won't have sex for 10 days and I'll be on a pill. So now it's getting to see how we could be more preventative with that. But as of now, there's really, not to my knowledge, there's not a lot of data that
Yeah.
would actually indicate that.
And I would say if you all have more questions about like, because we're not medical providers or doctors, you can check out the CDC's website and get more information about that. Let me look at some more questions that we have. They're coming in. Someone said, I've read that there are about 5 trials of possible cures looking for participants. You might be talking about trials for like a cure for HIV. There are a number of um, trials. There are vaccine trials, like an HIV vaccine, and then also for treatment, different types of treatments and cures. I think a lot of people of color do not participate in trials because of medical trials because of the historic trauma. I get it. I do feel like if we had more people of color participating in those different trials, then we will know the effects of the medication and treatments to make sure that they're appropriate for us. So if more white people are in it, then once we start taking it, those vaccines, we're going to have different experiences, side effects, and the ability to prevent or cure whatever the medication is intended to do. So that's a big
And
plug to try it.
I also say this, like, try to have a good relationship with your doctor, and a doctor is like a therapist. You have to find your match. Why? Because they know specifically what is going on with your health. And for example, with my doctor, I'm very open with my sex life, very open with what I'm doing, what I'm not, how I'm feeling. And one of the things that I have built with that relationship is specifically when new medication comes. He was the one that actually told me about doxypep and said, "Hey, I know you're sexually active. I know this could be an option." He gave me the pros and cons, and then I made the choice. So I always feel like find that match that you could have with your primary physician, and then ask them questions. Is this something good? What is the data right now? Can it affect me? Can it affect my liver? Like, ask all of those questions at the end of the day with your doctor.
Yep. We got some more questions. Let's see. Um, Someone says day-to-day physical, mental health, spiritual struggle living with HIV. Oh, they're asking what are your day-to-day physical, mental health, spiritual, or your struggles that you might experience as a person living with HIV.
So with living with HIV, I think the hardest part is understanding that HIV is just part of you. It doesn't define you. It's
Mhm.
not who you are.
Mhm.
And I always say, find that a support system.
Mhm.
That what is the support system to me is my chosen family.
Mhm.
There are people that go and pray because that's their support system. Then they have their own family. They have their partners.
Mhm.
While I was married for 14 years, and my ex-husband, he was amazing. When I would have certain days that I felt bad, he would be like, "You're doing great." I push myself to, eat good, exercise. I love cooking.
Mhm.
One of the challenges that I did for myself last year, I ran the marathon, Chicago Marathon,
Oh, wow.
and I did that to prove to myself, like, I'm healthy enough to
I
run
can't run a
twenty
marathon.
22. But I did that only to challenge myself. And I say, like, my day-to-day affirmation is like, I'm alive for a reason and I have a purpose.
Mhm.
What is that purpose? I don't know. But if it's, to continue, at least for me, like, to be healthy for 20 years living with HIV and to continue to advocate, like, maybe that's my journey. But, find whatever comforts you, and whatever you feel at the end of the day is going to make you feel better. Whether you're single, in a relationship, name it. At the end of the day, you're going to be left with your thoughts, your emotions, and feelings. So you have to channel, like, what's going to help me at the end of the day.
Yeah. I thank you for sharing that because I feel like it's a conscious effort to say, hey, I'm going to live, I'm going to thrive. And it's an effort to build your community of support so that you can thrive. And maybe you can talk more about like the struggle to do that because I think sometimes depending on if you're in a small town, if you're ultra religious family, if you're still struggling with your sexual orientation, that can be really hard to deal with all of the other shit you got to deal with. And then on top of that, then you say, now I'm living with HIV and I have to change my lifestyle so that you can live. Like, you want to talk a little bit more about that?
And it goes back to the negative comments on the post. You don't know how you're going to impact a person. I remember when I was recently diagnosed, I think it took me over a year to actually think about sex because I felt disgusted with my body. I felt like, who is going to want to touch that? I felt like a living virus, walking living virus. And I think it was last year, I posted a picture of me in the shower. People thought, again, sexualizing, but it was like me expressing the fact that you have to learn to love your body again. Know that you're okay, like you're fine. Like, it's again, it's just part of you, but it doesn't define you. And it goes back to attacking someone with ignorant, uneducated comments. It's like, before you speak and before you say something, well, learn what it is to have HIV. Learn what it is, how you could get it or not. I'll speak more about my personal journey, but, like, for example, my parents were very ignorant and their reaction was very negative initially. So I had to educate them on what it was, how to get it, because I had to go back home because of the side effects of the medication at that time, where they would actually grab a toothbrush, they would put rubber bands on it, put it in a corner, and every time I would go to the bathroom, they're like, "Did you use your toothbrush?" And
Ah.
that affected me so much emotionally because I was like, wow, like, they really make me feel dirty. They make me feel like not normal. But I say, like, just stay strong to what feels that if you see the light, like, trust me, once you get to the light, it's going to be much, much better, to get to that point. And it could take a minute, but it's okay.
I love that. I love that. Let's see what other questions we have. Someone says, I'm a 63-year-old And in all my dating life, I've only dated two men who were not positive. Okay. Okay. So I think the reality is if you're a gay man who is actively dating, that there's a likelihood that you're going to date somebody who is living with HIV. I don't, and I think that's the part that, and I'll try to be nice with this. That's just the part that really surprises me. Like, particularly if you're a gay man over the age of 35, you have been able to witness, people living with HIV that have died. You have been able to witness the advances in the science. You've probably met someone who's a friend, a loved one who's living with HIV who is thriving. So the shock, the all the oh my God, they can't date someone who's living with HIV. That's your preference. That's fine. But the surprise of it, like the denial that people are living with HIV are not in your dating pool. They are. If you're a gay man, they're in your dating pool. And navigating that is your responsibility. And part of your responsibility is to educate yourself. Like when I say educate yourself, when you go to your doctors, ask your doctors questions. Go to the CDC's website, look at fact sheets. If you don't trust the CDC, go talk to one of your friends. Learn about ways to prevent yourself from getting HIV, but also learn about like how people are living with HIV and thriving, because I do feel like people who say like, oh, they won't date someone who's living with HIV. I think you're missing out on possible a good match. Like your soulmate, like your person might be someone who's living with HIV, and it may take time for you to evolve, learn, and then get there. I get it. Like at your age right now, you might not be ready for it, but your partner might be living with HIV 5 to 10 years from now, people.
And I say this much with people that I mean, again, I'm 43. People have come at me because of my age. They're like, you're too old to do this. Not even like HIV related, but like, you're too old to be doing this. And what I say to those people is like, I don't want someone that's going to think that way, because at the end of the day, I want a partner that's going to uplift me, that is going
Mm-hmm.
to support. So I appreciate you telling me that you don't want to date someone like me, because trust me, I don't want to date someone like you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I do tell this to people that have a problem with dating someone that HIV. I was with my ex-husband for 14 years.
Mm-hmm.
Some of you cannot even hold a man for a month. So it
Yeah.
is like, you don't know the opportunities that you could have, and if you're only gonna judge that person by their status, it's like you don't know. You could find someone completely healthy, handsome, hot, and he could be a complete asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what other questions we get. I think let me see. What was the guy's name in the video? Oh my goodness, that was Jacoby who was on earlier. He has a man, so leave him alone.
They're shooting their shots.
Somebody said, how likely is it to go into remission once you are undetectable? I will let you respond to that. How likely is it to go into remission once you're undetectable?
So it depends on multiple factors, and one of them again goes back to taking your medication exactly how you're told. If don't miss a dosage. Initially, for example, when I was diagnosed, I stopped drinking alcohol because I felt like if it's gonna affect me, like then cut off negative things from your life, because you might not think it affects your health, but it does.
Mhm.
One of the things was for negative people, the stress that you have at work. I didn't want to at the time, but I had to disclose my status at work because I was working at the airport at the time, and I was working over 50 hours. And I'm like, I can't do this because of my health. So it's reprioritizing what you do. And eventually, if you do all of those things, there's not a time frame because each case is different, but you can get to that. That's primarily the goal for many.
Yeah. And I would say you can't think of it like it's cancer, right? Because if you're living with HIV, you take your medication as prescribed daily, consistently, you can achieve to be undetectable. And
Correct.
that just means you're very healthy, right? That means there's a low amount of the virus being able in your blood, right? It also means you cannot transmit the virus to somebody else. The challenge becomes when you are not taking your medication every day. So if you're skipping pills where like you're like, oh, I'll take it every 2 days, then you start to build up a resistance to the medication. So the medication is no longer working, and then the virus starts to spread, right? So the biggest
And
thing. Go ahead.
it also has to do with options. Nowadays, there's so many options with medication that, going back again with your provider, ask them, you know what, the side effects that I'm getting with this medication, I'm getting, I can't sleep, or I have anxiety, whatever the side effect may be with X medication, then go ask if there's a similar option. And then again, it goes back to asking questions to your doctor. What works for me? And make the best decision, for you at the end of the day.
It looks like someone wants to join and ask. Let's see who this person is. This is Dauphine. Dauphine, I will bring you on. I guess hope you're not a ghost account. Dauphine, we'll bring you on. Let's see. So if you've clicked it,
and to clarify with the question, like, you're always, if the goal is to always be undetectable, it's not gonna go away,
right?
But the goal is to continue to stay undetectable, because that's where you want to be.
Hello, how you
Good
doing?
evening. I'm doing well. Good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me, Lamont?
I can. Yes.
I think what the work you're doing here is absolutely amazing. I'm Ryan Fields, but I'm also a physician. I'm here in Atlanta, and I'm from Chicago, Armando.
Hey.
I'm actually on call right now, but I did want to jump on to kind of answer a few of those questions if you allow me to do so. And then, of course, I would jump off. And if I jump off a little quickly, it's only because Grady is paging or Emory Midtown is paging. I did want to answer the question. I think you answered the question spot on about remission. Remission is only thought about when we're saying things about cures. And this situation is not necessarily a cure. So the remission, in a colloquial term, would be someone being undetectable. There was a comment about doxycycline and its resistance. Armando, you made a comment about it before, how in Chicago, or at least in Illinois, that there is, you have to be tested positive first for either gonorrhea or chlamydia. And then a gentleman made the comment that that's not true in the South. Or in the particular state that he was in. One of the reasons why that is the case is because there has been gonorrhea and chlamydia resistance that's been very prevalent in the Skokie area, Armando, or in northern Chicago, that has come down to Chicago, and that has been since 2015 or 2016. So there is a high concern for antibiotics not working, because this is how we get multi-resistant medications or multi-resistant bugs, like staph and E. coli and all these others. So there is a real chance of that. With that being stated, this was also the issue that we had initially with PrEP. There was some concern that if we were to give PrEP, people would not take it consistently, as you just mentioned, Lamont, and then we would get resistance to that. That too has occurred, but not to the wide level that many have thought that it would occur. Someone made the comment about you can get HIV these days. I think it was Jacoby, that you get HIV these days in many ways. I have myself had friends affected by HIV that I know that we're not thotting around. So I have brought that to my practice. But in addition, I have also seen 7-year-old, 8-year-old children who have had the disease breast milk or by delivery, and then they themselves have gotten it from their grandmother. So there's a biblical base and a biblical proverb and a Shakespearean one as well, that says the crimes of the father pass on to the children. Should not the crimes of the father pass on to the children? And I have personally seen the case of where a grandmother was the one that initially attracted the HIV, but it passed on to the granddaughter. So HIV has been extremely problematic. It was stated earlier about disclosing. In the beginning, especially 1990s and the 2000s, it was up to the provider to report under public health whether if a patient had. And at that time, we were being trained to it was up to the provider once again to tell the loved one
Mhm.
if someone had HIV. The difference between other diagnoses, hypertension, insomnia that was mentioned earlier, and the reason why this was a concern is because it is sexually transmitted.
Mhm.
And you can have a mass pandemonium on your hands. Lamont, you appropriately mentioned that many people have been sued or had criminal cases brought against them for not disclosing. I think it was a gentleman in Ohio for not disclosing, but had sex with many women and gave them HIV. Then California had one the last 3 to 4 years that it was something very similar, but it went a different route than what happened in Ohio.
Mhm.
So that one remains a tricky subject that remains with people.
Right.
I do study kidney disease and HIV. Typically take someone out outside of pneumonia, which is the most common. Second is the kidneys. And that's one of the reasons why I did come to Atlanta and pick this field to help people that did look like me. So I did want to give those points. Once again, Lamont, I commend you for having this discussion. I do tune in on Wednesdays when the discussion is totally different. So I'm glad that we are having one that also still uplifts the community. And Armando, I think it's very amazing that you're on here and telling your story as well. So kudos to you as well.
Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much for coming on and just adding additional, your
Information.
expertise, your experience.
No problem.
Because I think everybody has different perspectives, and I think you've added to the richness of this conversation.
Well, thank you, sir. It was my pleasure. You guys have a great day, and I'm going to continue to listen.
All right.
Thank
See
you.
ya. See, that's why I like having these conversations. And some people are like, Lamont, you should have these, every Thursday. Lord, today
And
I have a life. I have a family. I got a man. I can't be on here all the time. Okay.
And like we were saying, we're not doctors, we're not professionals. This is just, general information. But like I said it again, like at the end of the day, you should reach out to your primary physician and then ask any additional questions or concerns that you may have that can go specifically with your state or what cases are going on there, because that could be very different from Chicago to Atlanta to anywhere else.
Yeah. Let's see. We have a few more questions. I know we said we were going to be here for a little bit, but we're almost at an hour. Let's see. Someone said, is there any concern regarding bacterial resistance? They just answered that. So that's fine. And we're going to reshare this video. It'll be on my Instagram account, and it'll be on my YouTube channel. And I know they're like, oh, the provider was talking very fast. That's how docs do, right? So we'll be able to replay it, and you all can look at the responses again. What other questions do we have? Let's see. Someone said, I know Armando. He's the best. I love him. My personal crush. There you go. There you go. Was there anything else? Did we get all these? No, I think we got all these. These are good. They're good. Good. Any other points you want to talk about before we close out in a sec? Oh, look, we got someone else wanting to join. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see who this is first. Let's see. Gregory is going to come. I know Greg. Yeah, let's see what Greg has. Questions Greg has. I'm happy you are enjoying this conversation. Make sure you all share it with someone who you think might need to check it out. Greg.
Hello,
Hey.
hello, Armando.
Hi. How are
So
you?
I'm good, baby. I just wanted to say that this has been a very fruitful conversation. Lamont, I'm very proud of you for leveraging your network in this capacity. And Armando, per usual, I appreciate you for breaking the stigma, the courage to stand in your truth, but then also the empowerment of really encouraging people to know what's available to them. I think that when you think about the intersections of being Black, brown, and queer, we're just not always given the space to show up and have authentic conversations, especially around topics like this. And Chicago is a very nuanced place when it comes to DoxyPEP. You really do have to have an exposure. Organizations like, well, CORE will give it to you, but like Howard Brown, et cetera, there's just a little bit more red tape right now.
Okay. Yeah, no.
But they matter, and they will give a girl pep and prep whenever. Believe me, because I have had to have it. Well, anyway, I just wanted to get up here to give you both your roses. I appreciated today's conversation.
I appreciate it. And I think, the people are like, well, I saw the questions like, Lamont, why are you having this conversation? It's about, I'm like, I think the reality, this is our dating pool, right? There are a lot of things that exist in our dating pool, and if we want to turn a blind eye to it, it's just going to be more problematic. And I'm all about being a part of the solution. And one of the things I'm very keen on is making sure the dating environment and our communities are more safe for people to disclose their HIV status, to go to the doctors, to talk about their mental health, to just be their best selves. And it's not just on them to do it, it's on everyone to make sure it's safer.
No, I actually think that you have it correct. And for anyone who doesn't understand why a dating coach who's centered around Black and brown queer people, especially Black people, like it's about respectful acknowledgement. It's about the gratitude of creating an environment for trust, and more importantly, the assurance of acceptance. And I think that we do need to have more conversations centered around queer healthcare and what that looks like. So the fact that you're having these conversations means a lot. And Armando, you are gorgeous per usual.
Thank
Baby,
you.
this hair is herring. It is giving Jesus down.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Gregory.
Yes,
All right,
ciao.
I can try. There was a I love Gregory. There was a question that said, "What is vertical transmission?" And vertical transmission, we always use our medical and our jargon, and it's hard for other people to understand. But that's from mother to child, right? So that's when a mother who's living with HIV, um, she may not know she's living with HIV, and then she may give birth, and then the virus is then transmitted to the child. Typically, if once you find out you're pregnant, they do all these types of tests. They should do an HIV test. Um, the science is amazing, you all. Like amazing. Like if a person who's living with HIV, who's a pregnant woman, a pregnant trans man, if they take the medication, they will give them medication, and then I believe they allow the child to continue to take a regimen for maybe up to 12 months, and then the child will be considered HIV negative. So
And
I think
there's
I tried to
also
explain it the right way.
there's also, as far as science goes, and again, when I was diagnosed, so one of the things that affected me so much in 2003 was, it wasn't that I had HIV. It's like I was like, damn, I'm not gonna be a father biologically. Science has also come a long way where now you could become a father. Is it expensive? Very expensive. But there is that possibility where you have that
Sperm
opportunity now.
washing, right? They call it sperm washing.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
I don't know how much the cost is now, but last time that I checked, I think just for the process of sperm washing, it was over 10 or 15,000 just for that.
Wow.
That.
Wow.
Not everything is in vitro and all of that. No, because that's over 200,000.
Wow.
Give or take.
That's some coins there. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think that the biggest thing is that we have to figure out ways that we can talk to our tribe, our communities, your friends, people you're dating, to have open conversations about sex, about HIV, about STIs. If we normalize this shit, like literally normalize it, I think we'll see a shift in how people show up in their relationships. I think we'll see a whole
and I
bunch
know
of
you're
differences.
like within your circle, you're gonna know somebody that has it, and it's try to think of that person, how you could be their ally, directly or indirectly, through this conversation. If you step away and learn something today, and then in a future conversation when you hear it, say like, well, no, this is different, or no, it does. That's when you become more of an ally, and it kind of goes and circles back to tomorrow being World AIDS Day, that the theme is let communities lead. And you're part of a community, so it starts with you. At the end of the day, like, you could help so many just by learning and by spreading the word, and by being there for somebody.
Yeah. I think it's all of our responsibility. Miss Tillib, I'm not gonna say your name. We did answer your question. We'll repost this video and you'll be able to see the response. We even had a doctor come on and answer your question, okay? So you'll be good. Armando, thank you so much for inviting me to have this conversation. I hope this is life changing for people. I hope people not just talk about things, but they actually put some action behind what we talk about by having these conversations. If you're not living with HIV, get an HIV test, talk about PrEP, talk about Doxy PrEP. There's information on the link in my bio. If you don't ever want to like literally go into a clinic and get tested for HIV, they mail that shit to your house nowadays, like for free. So click on the link in my bio if you want a free HIV test. They'll send it to you. There's a whole bunch of other free condoms if y'all use those. But like they'll send those to you as well. So I would say make a plan 2024, be a part of the solution.
And you know, at the end, like, again, thank you for the conversation and bringing this awareness and for people just to learn more. I feel like before, and it's very easy on social media to always say something stupid, but before you do that, try to think how you can affect others. And sometimes the
Yep.
words can affect you so much, and you know, we're already in a world where a lot is affecting us, so why put more negative things out there? And again, just as a reminder to everybody else, tomorrow is World AIDS Day. So if you want to support it any way, whether it's an organization or just simply wearing red, you know, think about the victims that have no longer are here. Think about people that are recently diagnosed. And again, with the theme of let the communities lead, then do that. Try to take action, try to support, try to be an ally, because it is helpful. There has My chosen family has helped me so much when I was going through those dark days, and you could help somebody, you know, out there.
Yeah. All right, you all. Thank you all for really being interactive tonight. All the great questions. Thank you all for joining. And I'll repost this on the Instagram channel and also on my YouTube channel. Good night. Good night.
Bye.
All right.
And yes, I'm single.
Yes, in Chicago, okay?
You know.
All right, good night.